Today on Board Game Bravo, we're going to explore the many facets of a dice game that doesn't feel like a dice game. Sagrada. Sagrada is a game with a big bag of dice in the center. The players grab handfuls of those dice out of the bag and roll them all of the time. And yet, some clever mechanisms keep this game from descending into chaos. In fact, it becomes a game of skill. So the dice fit into the theme too. So Sagrada is a game of constructing stained glass windows. The boards are grids of 4x5 dice, and your board has special squares on it that need to be filled by a specific color or weight of die. And by the end of every game, your board looks like a stained glass window. The mechanisms themselves of limiting which dice can go in different places, it's very reminiscent of something like Sudoku, except that it's fun. And it makes the games more challenging and interesting. And it adds to that variety from game to game. The situation that you're in is very different from game to game because the public scoring cards are different, the private scoring card is different, the board you have to work with is different, and then of course the dice you have to work with will be different as well. So every round of this game, someone grabs a number of dice from the bag, twice the players plus one, and rolls it out. The dice have different colors. There are 5 different colors. The players draft in a specific order and then reverse the order and draft again. So each player will get 2 picks. You pick your die and you look at what you need, but also how likely it is that that die will be waiting for you on the way back. The framework for scoring is randomly generated every game by drawing 3 different public scoring cards, which are revealed to everybody, and then a secret scoring card that applies just to you and that you can keep secret from the other players. And then one extra layer of variety is the special moves available every game. So 3 cards are revealed that allow the players to break the normal rules of the game, using the difficulty points from the card they selected for their board. And there's rules for how much it costs. It will cost 1 or 2 points based on whether the card's been utilized to this point. But they do things like allow you to move dice that are already placed following certain rules, or re-rolling a die, or drafting twice. And so you have this sort of ace in your pocket that you can use, 2 or 3 times a game. The trick is when to use it. Here are the things I like about Sagrada. Number 1, the art style and table presence are excellent. This thing pops on a table, it draws you in, it keeps you engaged, and when you fill in your board, it looks beautiful. It looks like it evokes the theme of a stained glass window. It looks like you've actually built a stained glass window on your board, and it's great. It's also a game that has complexity to it, but it's very accessible. But it does have that complexity for you to explore if you want to, and it rewards that. It isn't as random as it seems. Another thing I like about it are the fact that the scoring is different from game to game, and it depends on which cards you've drawn and which board is in front of you and what the special move cards are. And it should affect how you approach a game if you want to win. You can't have a go-to strategy for every game of Sagrada because it's going to fail you if your cards don't come up for it. So you have to be flexible and invent strategy on the fly based on the combination of all of these cards. Some things I don't like as much about Sagrada I enjoy having all these cards for a variety of different scoring, but not all of them are very interesting. Some of them are a little bit sort of repeating the same ideas in slightly different ways and aren't terribly interesting. And I don't mind some of those, but I feel like the balance is off. I feel like I would like more off the wall, bonkers scoring parameters in the deck. And there's just a lot more straightforward ones than there are interesting and unusual ones that make you think a little more. So for that reason, I feel like the game would benefit from an expansion. There is one. I haven't looked at it yet, but it's a game that could use some fleshing out in terms of some more creativity in those cards. Some of them are very creative. There's just not enough of those. Another thing about the game is the dice are very small and easy to knock around. So these are not big chunky dice. These are smaller, lighter dice. And you roll them and they all have to stay on the same side up as people draft. And when people reach in with their big chunky hands, maybe with a Band-Aid, it's really easy to knock these dice around. You can create enough chaos that there's no way to remember the game state. You can sort of ruin or end a game with poor motor skills. It's something to keep in mind. It creates an obstacle to making the game go well. Having said all that, the positives greatly outweigh the negatives, and I can give it a very strong recommendation. In fact, I like it so much it cracks my top 10. Another thing I'll mention is that there's an app newly out to the iPhone and Android stores, and it is fantastic. I did a video on the top 5 digital board games before this app was released, and I did not include it because it wasn't out yet. But if I were shooting that video now, I would have to include it, and it would be probably my second pick behind Lords of Waterdeep. I think it would rank number 2 on that list. So slot that in there if you see my other video. It's a really easy way to check out this game too. It's like $6. I'll give it the Painted Gnome Award of wonderfulness. It's great. You should try it. It's a wonderful game. And that is Sagrada. Okay, my question for this video is, what is your favorite board game with dice? Answer below and let me know why it's your favorite board game with dice. Tell me something good about it. And support this channel by liking and subscribing and sharing it with people you know who might be interested in a board game YouTube channel. Okay, before I end this, I do need to retract something from my last video. I falsely identified a water bird as a goose, and I am being told that it is in fact a duck. So I apologize to ducks everywhere for being maligned by my last video, and you can look at it yourself and let me know in the comments whether my mistake was an understandable one or not. I feel like I've undermined my ability to present myself as anything of an animal expert. But there you have it. My apologies to ducks everywhere and to geese everywhere. I just have to say, knock it off, please. Thank you. Anyway, I will see you next time. Bravo out.